Howdy. Welcome back to Black Bear News. Please remember to like the video and to make sure that you are still subscribed. I don't know if it's showing me trying to fix my sweater or something. Sorry about that. Yeah, welcome back. Trying some different things in order to alert people that the stream is going, since that seems to be a problem. If you would like to be alerted to what time I'm doing a live stream during the day, follow me on Twitter at Black Bear News, the number 1. And I will post the times that I'm starting my live stream on the Twitter. That way you can know if it's happening or not. Yeah, so welcome. Greetings, Clay Smith. How you doing? This is my first subscription stream for the first time in a couple days. Welcome. William Moy. Good to see you. So this article is something that's, actually these articles have been pretty frequent over the last few winters, and I've already read a few articles dealing with this subject this winter. But this is happening, and it's probably going to become more of a problem until, bears go extinct or humans go extinct, or they both go extinct together. So mild winter spurs bears to emerge from hibernation earlier. Multiple sightings in February and early March in Russia, Finland, and the U.S., raising concerns of increased conflicts with humans. An unusually warm winter. It's been actually more so in Russia and Scandinavia. All of Europe, Eurasia, has had a very warm winter. Also the east coast of the U.S., but not as warm. There have been multiple sightings of bears emerging from hibernation in February, early March in Russia, Finland, and the U.S., a situation apparently triggered by the mild winter experienced in many countries. Let me make sure. Are you guys hearing me? Sometimes when I jump into these and I don't really have any interaction with anybody, I want to make sure that y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Aaron Murr, hail Satan, y'all. Cindy, still getting my notifications. That's good. Kuro, what's up? Maru, hello. All are alive, no fever. Is everybody alive, no fever, and can breathe? Good. Yeah, so this winter was the warmest ever recorded in Europe by far. According to scientists with the U.S. just experiencing its hottest December and January on record. The U.S. experienced its hottest December and January. Moscow Zoo has been preparing to deal with the emergence of 2 Himalayan bears a month early, while a grizzly bear sighting was reported on March 3rd in Banff National Park in Canada, the earliest such sighting in a decade. Bears are also on the move in the Yellowstone National Park in the U.S., with a grizzly spotted prowling around the park's famed Grand Prismatic Spring on March 7th. Park officials said that the visitor should keep at least 100 feet away from bears. I'd make that 2 or 3. Not to run away, and keep bear spray in hand. It's not just bears that have been waking up early from their hibernation slumber. There are also reports of an itinerant groundhog in Maine. Although there is sparse data on hibernation trends, experts have warned that the climate crisis could be spurring a harmful mismatch in seasons for animals, especially those who hibernate through the cold winter months when food is scarce. Among bears, males are usually the first to emerge in March or April, followed by females, then females with cubs. If they emerge in unusually warm winter weather, they may find there is little to eat. From my experience, we are hearing more reports of bears out in late February, early March, said Chris Servine, the former grizzly bear recovery coordinator of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Servine said he had heard about black bears coming from hibernation already in the Rocky Mountains as their snow dens melt and they are forced to leave their soggy homes. Even some grizzly bears at high elevations are departing their dens, too. We aren't sure why they are coming out earlier, but if there are more sunny, warm days, they sense that, and they see that conditions are good, and they go out. The problem is they can't stay in, but there's nothing for them to eat. They are burning up energy, moving around, but the plants haven't started to grow yet. I'd expect it's not a good thing for them. This mismatch raises the possibility that hungry bears will be involved in confrontations with humans as they desperately search for food. I just read in my last stream about monkeys in Thailand who rely on tourists and people to give them food, but there's no, because of the pandemic, there's no food, there's no tourists, so there's no one to feed them, and there's hundreds of hungry monkeys running around looking for food, and most likely starving now, right? So that was actually from a week or two ago, that article. If they aren't starving now, they'll be starving very soon. Oh, this is funny. I didn't actually catch this. The beginning of this paragraph was, we aren't sure why they're coming out earlier. You're not sure? Come on, you joker. This mismatch raises the possibility that hungry bears will be involved in confrontations with humans as they desperately search for food. Towns in Canada and Russia have been the stage for tangles between people and bears. Oh, we got in a tangle with a bear. Sounds so, sounds like frolicking in the woods, and we just tangled with a bear. As the Ursine visitors ransack bins and gardens for food. I don't want to tangle with a bear. I don't want to two-step or tango with a bear. If we see this as a continuing thing with climate change, we will probably see more conflicts because there's not much food for bears. If bears come out early, they will potentially seek food around people, such as in the garbage, bird feeders, and crops. The potential for conflict is certainly higher as they come out earlier. Yeah, so there you go. What's up, guys? More people coming in. Caleb, still alive. James Michael Campbell. Raza Remen. Finally, some black bear news. Indeed. Cindy Seeley says black bears are out in western North Carolina, southern Blue Ridge. Witty Moniker, what's up? Maru says the end of humankind as we know it. We will see. I mean, that's the eventuality. We'll see how soon that that comes upon us. So this is some news in response to the pandemic from the Wall Street Journal. Jails release prisoners fearing coronavirus outbreak. And I have always said that prison is the last place I want to be at the end of the world, right? That's if we are seeing any kind of collapse at any time soon, any kind of collapse, economic, climate, or pandemic collapse, the last place I want to be is in jail. So luckily, okay, dog. Luckily, they're letting some people out of jail. Sorry. My dog wants to readjust my whole situation. Experts say virus could spread quickly in crowded correctional facilities, which are also banning visitors and restricting inmates' movements. This is from today. Local governments across the U.S. are releasing thousands of inmates in an unprecedented effort to prevent a coronavirus outbreak in crowded jails and prisons. Jails in California, New York, Ohio, and Texas, and at least a dozen other states are sending low-level offenders and elderly or sickly inmates home early due to the fears around catching the bug. At other jails and prisons around the country, officials are banning visitors, restricting inmates' movements, and screening staff. I cheer that on. I cheer that effort on, because that's got to be horrible to be stuck anywhere, cruise ship or jailhouse. It's got to be horrible to be stuck anywhere while everyone around you is getting sick. With a potentially fatal sickness. James Michael Campbell, a 80 sow with cubs, a bear sow with cubs will screw up your day bigly, indeed. Witty moniker, I'm super excited. I'm taking a permaculture course soon. That's awesome. Congratulations. Hello, Anthony Davis. What's up? Welcome, guys. Excuse me. Pardon my yawn. I didn't mean that. Just totally overtook me. Yeah, so there was supposed to be a vote today on an aid package to American people due to the health crisis. And, well, it wasn't that great of a package. It was basically a Republican authored package, and it gave some handouts to the American people, but it wasn't a lot. But Senate Democrats blocked action on a $1 trillion stimulus plan. Of course, this is not going to make Democrats look good, but they're asking for more. They're objecting to an emerging deal that they said failed to adequately protect workers or impose strict enough restrictions on bailed out businesses. In a procedural vote that unfolded after 3 days of fast-paced negotiations to reach a bipartisan compromise, Senate Democrats registered their opposition to the bill even as top negotiators continued to struggle behind the scenes to strike a deal. So who knows when this is going to actually be agreed upon and when anybody's going to get some kind of aid. The package is now expected to cost $1.8 trillion. So how much of that trillion goes to people, nobody knows. Because there was no agreement, U.S. stock futures fell 5% on Sunday evening. And, looks like Wall Street will not react positively tomorrow based on that lack of agreement. Republicans and Democrats, as well as Trump, have agreed that the plan was crucial to cushioning the economic blow of the rapidly spreading disease, which has shut down entire industries, forced workers to stay at home, and wreaked havoc in the global markets. It would send $1,200 in direct payments to millions of Americans and make additional jobless benefits and aid available to states and provide hundreds of billions of dollars for loans to businesses. Democrats denounced the package as a corporate giveaway that favored big business over workers and failed to ensure that bailed out companies would not enrich themselves after receiving government aid. I think that's, those are fair concerns. Democrats were particularly incensed at the inclusion of a provision to give the Federal Reserve access to $425 billion that could be leveraged for loans to broad groups of struggling companies without restrictions on which businesses could receive it or how it could be used. Yeah, so that is happening. There's still no masks or ventilators, or very few available. So health workers are struggling mightily in the U.S. What else? What else? Germany, I think, banned any gatherings of two or more than two. So if you are, if you're in a group that's more than two, you're not supposed to be there. Just so you know. So, you know, one of the things that isn't responding to the pandemic is global warming. Global warming still continues apace, although at a much slower pace because of a lack of, somewhat a lack of emissions. But it still is lurking in the shadows, waiting to exacerbate the entire situation of a global economic meltdown and a global pandemic. Prudhomme says UK government advice: stay indoors, get no sunshine, get no vitamin D, don't get fresh air, don't get exercise, stay healthy. Yeah, so this virus affects the lungs. It creates a situation where it becomes very hard to breathe. It clogs the lining of the lungs so that you cannot get oxygen. That's why people are on ventilators. And it becomes very dangerous very quickly. If you reach that point where you need a ventilator, you're in big trouble. Robert Araujo, police in Montreal received 80 calls reporting people not respecting social distancing. Well, I guess respect the social distancing. Michael Iran, yes. Dems blocked it, yes. Did they have good reason? I don't know. Robert Araujo, prison break in Brazil last week. Yeah, and that was over, right? The fears of being trapped and contaminated, right? Prudhomme, really? Is that true? Harvey Weinstein is to be released from Rikers Island? And Bernie Madoff, too? Wow. James Michael Campbell, 1 million people have died globally? Not from this. No, that's incorrect. I'm sorry. I don't know. How are you getting your numbers? Hold on one second. There's actually a running total of... Hold on. If you go to worldometer.info, worldometers.info, the number of deaths globally is 14,000. It is not a million. It is not a million. That's a huge disparity between 14,000 and a million. So I don't know where you're getting your information from. People may have died from other things globally. not from this disease, if you will. Witty Moniker says, saying hi to my hubby Barry, who is watching. Hello, Barry. Raza Remen, COVID will only kill 3%. Global heating will kill everyone, the remaining 97%. Yes, I mean, global warming has a much higher mortality rate than the virus. Than the bug. We'll call it the bug. You guys hear the rain? It's quite nice. I'm enjoying it. The current, let me give you the current stats for the planet. 317,000 total. So that's the total number of cases. However, the interesting thing to know is that in the active cases, there's 197,000 active cases. 95% are in mild condition. 5% are in serious or critical. So that's much more than the 1, 2, or 3% we were originally hearing about this. But this is the important thing to know. The closed cases, 109,000, 96,000 have recovered. Almost 14,000 have died, which means 12%. So of the people who have either recovered or died, the closed cases, the death rate is 12%. So it's fairly high. It's much higher than 3%. So, I don't know where they're getting the 3% number, but if we just look at the number of closed cases, versus the recovered versus dead, that's 12%, which is 4 times higher than 3%. If you go, what? Prudone says, Hal Turner says 24 trillion. 24 trillion what? Deaths? Or what are you talking about? Derivatives? I have no idea what you're talking about. Raza Remen says, the bug has the potential to diminish the vulnerable elderly statesmen, so it could turn the elections on their head. Yay, Mayor Pete for president. Sorry, just kidding. Oh, dear God, no. Actually, Rand Paul just reported that he was infected. There's a few other Republicans, senators who are not who are not in the chambers because they have it. So, good point, Prudone. Hold on one second. Let me get back here. Prudone says fewer deaths in Italy today than yesterday. Infection increase rate is slowing. Yes, so that's what I thought you meant. 20 trillion, there's so many deaths. So there you go. I mean, it seems that, there's an exponential climb in cases and fatalities. However, there is an arc to this bug. There is an arc to it, and we can see it happening in the early, in countries who were hit earlier on. So let's look at that a little bit. On the same website, Worldometers. It's interesting though. Some countries, they don't they kind of leave some of the boxes, the fields, empty. But China reported an uptick in cases, but they were mostly cases from outside the country that were coming in. They had no new cases in China for about a week, but then they reported that they had like 46 cases. But 46 as opposed to, how many ever thousand they were having at the height. So Italy had 5,000 new cases. And total deaths, they have surpassed China. 5,476 total deaths. New deaths, 651. The U.S. is at plus 9,000 cases. Total cases, 33,000. We're on a quick climb. 419 total deaths, 117 new deaths. Spain, 28,000. They're climbing in new case. Well, 3,000 new cases, 1,700, almost 2,000 deaths, and 375 deaths yesterday. Germany. Germany has a lot of cases, but they don't seem to have as many deaths. Interestingly, Germany is doing well in the death to cases percentage. Iran, 21,000 cases, 1,000 new cases, 1,685 deaths, plus 129 new deaths. France, 16,000, 1,500 new cases, 1,600 total deaths. So France actually seems to have quite a few fatalities. They had 129 new deaths. Oh, no, that was Iran. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. France had 674 total deaths, 112 new. So South Korea is on the downslope. They reported 98 new cases, 8,000 total cases, 104 deaths total, plus 2 yesterday. So they seem to be on the downslope. UK is not looking too terribly bad. Plus 665 new cases, 281 deaths, 48 new. Anyways, I could go through these numbers, but those seem to be the biggest numbers, the hardest hit of the countries I went through there. Karen Daly, hello. Yeah, so I imagine that Italy is starting to get to that point where they're going to plateau in cases and deaths, and they're going to start going down the other side. I mean, it's happening in the cases that, in the countries that spiked early. So that's what happens. The U.S. is not testing. Diana, how you doing? Says the U.S. will be hit hard. The U.S. is not testing nearly enough, and the U.S. doesn't have the equipment or facilities to handle the uptick that is coming our way. So that's a problem for sure. Diana says Germany has a well-functioning healthcare system because they're a democratic socialist country. Because they take care of their people. They have a very good social safety net. Raza Remen, Asians all masked up. They say it works. Diana, so does Italy. Yeah, supposedly Italy has universal health care. But they seem to have gotten it. I think each country has different, there are different, different things going on as far as, the population, the general health of people. Apparently, there's quite a few elderly in Italy. There's also quite a few smokers, which makes, there could be a lot of factors involved in why Italy was hit so hard. Italy is also, to reference the Kim Iverson video, Italy is also in this particular temperate zone that seems to be hit the hardest from the virus. That was also true. Robert Arajo says, Italy has good hospitals in the north, very poor in the south. Funky Mystic, how you doing? Long time no see. Funky Mystic says Biden has pulled a Houdini. I wonder if he is having second thoughts about wanting to inherit this crisis. Proudhon, Biden forgot there's a crisis, but I don't know. Yeah, he seems to be MIA. He probably doesn't want to be involved. He probably doesn't even, all his no malarkey bluster, he's ill-equipped. Ill-equipped on a mental scale to handle this. And this is actually another silver lining of this whole thing, is that I'm hoping that Biden's ineffectualness to be able to handle this, his diminished capacity will be revealed for what it is very, very soon, and people are going to have to say, well, there's another guy, there's this guy that really cares about trying to help the American people. I think his name is, what is it again? Oh, Bernie, yeah, Bernie. Proudhon, Bloomberg News, 99.2% of Italy deaths had one or more existing illnesses. Yeah, so I think part of the Italian situation was that they have a large elderly population. They also have a large elderly population that smokes. So they probably have underlying conditions that make them less able to weather the bug. Diana, Bernie is churning out videos daily. Indeed. And he just had a roundtable with AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar. They just finished like a couple minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. And it was a good conversation. I watched a little bit of it. There he goes again. Talking with leaders in Congress and talking to the American people and trying to figure out the best way to get help to the American people. Cindy Seeley, if anyone likes Michael Moore, I enjoyed Michael Moore. Actually, Michael Moore just had a Rumble episode about Joe Biden's diminished capacity. But what's the one about today? I don't know. Exactly. Maru, Joe Biden is older. He needs to take care of himself. Indeed. Biden, Bernie, and Trump need to self-isolate like crazy. That if they, if they are heeding the advice of their doctors, all three of them would be self-isolating, I'm sure. I think Bernie is taking care of himself. I think he's doing the right thing. Let's see. And I read this headline from the last video. This is from Swamp. Bernie Sanders has emerged as the de facto leader of the Democratic Party amidst the COVID-19 crisis. Oops, I said it. Darn it. So there it is. There it is. So, yeah. In the middle of all of this is the specter of climate change. Climate change just keeps on keeping on. Where was the thing I needed to read? It's somewhere in here. Here we go. This is a fairly recent entry from Robert Hunsaker from March 10th, back when the world was still the world we knew. A lot has changed in 12 days. And this is titled Global Warming on a Rampage. Global warming is not waiting around for the signatories to the Paris Climate Accord 15 to go to net zero emissions between 2030 and 2050. Sorry, those bold plans are way too little, way too late. Already across the board, the planet is on a hot streak that defies all projections. It's starting to look downright scary. Listen, when Helsinki has no snow in January and February, accompanied by inordinate heat, it's a powerful signal that something is not right. According to the Finnish Meteorological Institute, monthly records were not just broken, they were shattered with large margins. Not only that, across the planet, heat, too much heat is altering ecosystems beyond expectations as, for example, an uncharted granite island suddenly emerged from rapidly melting ice in Antarctica, surprising researchers stationed off the coast of the Pine Island Glacier ice shelf, which has the troubling distinction as one of the fastest retreating glaciers in the world. The research team named the new discovery Sif Island. Similar to global warming's recent onslaught, Pine Island Glacier also is not waiting around for Paris 15 signatories to take mitigating steps to avert catastrophic global warming, which likely will be officially renamed global heating at some point in time in the near future, not global warming, which term is already out of date. Perilously, Pine Island Glacier experienced yet another monster iceberg calving event February 2020, the size of a U.S. state. Monster calving events used to occur every 5, 6, 7 years, but have become annual events. Making matters scarier yet, large cracks in the ice shelf are forming in places that scientists hadn't seen before, such as the middle of the ice shelf. Scientists are deeply concerned and closely monitoring Pine Island Glacier and nearby Thwaites Glacier for signals of runaway melting that would free up inland ice flow. The ice shelves that are calving hold back rapid glacial flow to the sea, according to NASA. Just those two glaciers hold back a surrounding region of potential glacial ice flow that could raise sea levels by 4 feet, which is a mere 2% of total Antarctic sea level rise locked in ice. Therefore, the sudden emergence of Sif Island out of the blue is not a comforting signal. Not only that, but according to Carlos Schaefer, a Brazilian government scientist who's analyzing recent Antarctica temperatures of 68 Fahrenheit, sizzling hot for Antarctica, we have never seen anything like this. Dreadfully, the entire planet is being hit with hot stuff. French ski resorts had to import snow with helicopters. Snowless Moscow shattered previous record temperatures by an astonishing 3.5 C. And, heaping one disaster on top of another disaster, Japan's Daisen White Ski Resort had to shut down early in January because it was so hot that fake generated snow melted as soon as it was generated. That's hot. And for the first time ever, Germany was unable to make ice wine in any of the German wine regions. The 2019 ice wine vintage will go down as the first ever no harvest. It was too hot. Still, By all appearances, global average temperatures are a misleading indicator for public instruction of global warming's true impact. Global averages miss the true impact of regional global warming events that have the power to undercut life as we know it. For example, Yakutia, an eastern Siberian Federal Russian Republic, has heated up by more than 3°C pre-industrial, or 3 times the global average, bringing on disastrous results. Yakutia, 1/3 the size of the U.S., has seen its arable land for farming plummet by more than 50% as a result of cascading permafrost. Wow, and buildings are sagging into the ground, hillsides are collapsing, and lakes suddenly appear throughout the region. Life is turning chaotic. All of which brings to mind the ever-dicey East Siberian Arctic shelf, where massive quantities of subsea permafrost contains and holds back vast reservoirs of methane frozen in ice in extremely shallow waters, unfortunately. Even though mainstream science believes the risks are low of a major eruption of methane out of the eastern Siberian Arctic shelf, which in turn could ignite powerful, damaging runaway global warming, there are serious scientists who have studied the ESAS in detail and who adamantly claim otherwise by assigning a high risk to the event, which would take civilization down to its knees by decimating agricultural regions across the planet, as well as turning several latitudinal zones uninhabitable. Meanwhile, according to the IEA, the International Energy Agency, fossil fuel companies plan on increasing oil and gas production by 120% to 2030. Well, Russia and Saudi Arabia, since March 10th, have decided to increase their output, greatly ramp it up. Demand for oil is irrepressible. And not only that, China is embarking on mega construction plans for new coal-burning power plants. And so is India, and Japan recently announced its intention to build 22 new coal-burning plants over the next 5 years. Jesus Christ. What do they need 22 coal-burning plants for? Oh, it's mind-boggling. All of that in the face of irrefutable evidence of acceleration of climate change well beyond the influence of natural events. Still, Trumpers refuse to recognize and act upon that reality, thus unofficially blessing other nations' increases in fossil fuel usage, and thus silently encouraging rejection of Paris 15 is that wayward influence a plot hatched in America. As a result, and with great fanfare, trumpets blaring and drums rolling, Trump has been crowned the worst president for our environment in history. Excuse me. Indeed. By 9 major green orgs: Alaska Wilderness League Action, Clean Water Action, Defenders of Wildlife, Earth Justice, EDF Action, Friends of the Earth, League of Conservation Voters, Sierra Club, and the Wilderness Society. Trump is global warming's Man of the Year 2019. Excuse me. I'm not sick, guys. I was just eating popcorn. The year 2019 is the 43rd consecutive year since 1977 with both land and ocean temperatures above the global 20th century average, and of extreme significant deep concern, the global rate of global warming has doubled specifically since 1977. That is an ominous and clear signal of acceleration of an unwelcoming rate of global warming. Frankly, it's horrible news. Brace yourself. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Maru. I appreciate you. Sends me a super chat, a super sticker. It says game over. Jay Ackert asks, agricultural collapse sooner than expected? Collapse, mayhaps. We'll see. Rosa Remen asks, Kevin, have you heard about the sky rivers? Streams of moisture in the atmosphere. There's one right now above me. Streams of moisture in the atmosphere causing flash floods and hailstorms expected to increase in future. Yes, I have. I have indeed heard all about them. Atmospheric rivers is what they're known as meteorologically. And yeah, I mean, we're going to get more of extreme rain, extreme heat, extreme drought, extreme wildfires, etc., etc., etc. Dana Patterson, Michael Moore talks about the lack of PPE for health workers and the fact that many health workers are getting sick. Yeah, they're on the front lines. Okay, got it. I will check it out. I absolutely love Michael Moore, and I love his podcast. Is pretty great. Yes, the rain is nice, isn't it, Muru? It's a nice, calming kind of soundtrack to this video. Prud'homme. Ooh, Obama brought a great nation to its knees. That nation was Libya and Syria. Don't forget Yemen. And he also kept us in Afghanistan for 8 more years. When we didn't know what we were doing there, he continued that absolute circus in Afghanistan for 8 more years. And Trump continues today. Popcorn cough is a symptom. No, it's not. Funky Mystic. Backyard gardens and fruit and nut trees need to be part of our recovery strategy. I agree. Prud'homme says Abe Lincoln did not get a high rating either. Yeah, I mean, you know, he had his adversity he faced as a president, for sure. Also, actually, this is what I heard. At this point in the election process, I guess, there are other people in the first election that Abe Lincoln was, when he was elected president, I think he was in 4th place or something like that. To the other contenders. I'm not sure how they actually ran primaries or if they did something like primaries back then, but apparently Lincoln was way behind and then came on to win. So never say never. I'll tell you when it's over. It's over when Bernie Sanders leaves the race and backs Joe Biden. He probably will do that. But it's not over. Until he does that, the race is not over. He's not the nominee. Biden is not the nominee. He does not have the required number of delegates yet to wrap up the nomination. He does not. It's not over. They haven't finished the primaries. It is not over. Anyways, that's all I have to say on that. Oh, Abe was not rated on the environment. Okay. I wouldn't know how he would be rated on the environment. I know nothing about his environmental policies. Prud'homme says we had floods in February, so I prefer the sun. Well, yeah, the UK got hit quite hard. Osama. Word. And how'd he do? Karen Daly, Obama was a fraud just like Biden. Bing, ding, ding. Curo hikes. If they don't get some relief to the people, shit is going to start falling apart. People are starting to rob groceries, and some dude broke into a medical facility and stole corona tests. Wow. Yeah, I've been hearing about some burglary here and there. Of course. People are starting to feel desperate. Of course. Yeah. It's another fallout from this hoarding stuff that's going on. You know, if everybody's hoarding up all the food and buying up all the food and people just can't, people are left out, right? Everybody's, diving in and, grabbing everything that there is to grab, and people are left out of the mix, you know, people are going to start getting hungry and desperate. Okay. Aaron Jackson, good to see you. I'm glad that you and your mama are good. Glad to hear that. Kuro, yep. Yeah, I will check that out, Kuro. Thank you for the tip. I think we're going to see more of that. I think that's going to be, you know, kind of a new wrinkle in this situation. Prudhomme, mayor of Baltimore, has asked gangs to stop shooting so as not to tie up hospital beds. Guys. Yeah, no deal yet, no checks, they're fighting. I mean, so, you know, there's an issue. The GOP proposal is not a good one. However, it does provide for immediate relief for Americans. And the Democrats, I think, are trying to get something better. Although, I heard that Nancy Pelosi was actually blocking or was against, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi were against direct payments to Americans. They wanted unemployment insurance or unemployment to be jacked up. But I don't know about that, because then that would force everybody to apply for unemployment, which is just such a pain in the ass. Just send people money. So they're blocking this proposal. They're going to look like jerks. And if they do it for too long, you're right. People will start to get very pissed. People are going to start getting real pissed. If this drags on a couple more days, I don't know what's going to happen. Aaron Jackson, yesterday some asshole got arrested for stealing 66 rolls of toilet paper. Yeah, thank you, Prudhomme. Lots of dead Libyans don't think of much of Obama. Obama created a situation in Libya where people are literally selling slaves. Ooh, Kuro. Yikes. Harsh. I don't like Nancy Pelosi either. I do not. Osama, I have very little faith in the administration's ability. You know, I don't either. However, they understand the necessity of getting people money immediately. They do understand that. Although they're, you know, obviously they're more interested in corporate bailouts than they are in people bailouts. And, you know, I'm against that, obviously. I would prefer that, you know, the Bernie Sanders proposal was the one that's being offered or voted on. And I don't know that the Democrats are united on the things that they want. I'm not sure. Did you all hear me talk about Rashida Tlaib's proposal yesterday about minting $2 trillion coins? I think that's an awesome idea. I really like it. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Yes, I just talked about that Funky Mystic. Yep. I really love that proposal. And I think, why not get it out? Why not do it? Yeah, but Maru, the country is very divided on gun regulation. Mostly Democrats. There's a lot of people that like their guns in America. Trust me. I don't like the NRA either, and I don't like the proliferation of firearms. I personally am not. I'm against it, and I don't like it. But Biden is actually going nowhere with that ask. I mean, people are very emotionally attached to their weapons. So let's just put it that way. It ain't happening anytime soon. Let's see. Anthony Gilbert, I keep missing the start of your videos because I'm watching other videos. Sorry about that. It happens, man. I know. I watch a lot of videos during the day myself. I can't watch all the videos I want to watch. But Anthony Gilbert, just to let you know, follow Black Bear News, the #1 at Twitter, and on Twitter at Black Bear News, the #1, and I will post my start times for my live streams, if you'd like to know. Raza Remen, more guns, more bullets, more deaths. Kuro Hikes, I totally agree with you. People are pissed. Joe Biden is absolute trash. Absolute trash. And the man has dementia. On top of being trash. He's trash. He's corporately owned trash. He's not going to help people. He's going to give people a lot of promises, which is the same shit that Obama did. I'm going to do a bunch of really great things for people, and then I'm going to kind of not really deliver on any of them. But healthcare that you have to pay a lot of money for, we gave everybody that. Or we forced them to pay it, pay for it. Fuck Obamacare. I hate Obamacare. I hate it. It's the worst. It's the worst shit ever. Anyways, guys, I've got to go. Thank you for being here. I will give you my ETAs. In general, like 11 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock at night is when I'm, trying to hit these. The time may differ. But I will post them on Twitter. And I will try and give you guys heads up on the YouTubes. Anyways, guys, I have to take off. I will see you again tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for joining in the chat. And thanks everyone who has supported the channel over the last week monetarily. I appreciate you always. And enjoy your evening. Peace.